But maybe we move on and talk about the GM meetings that happen, because there's a lot of big news that happened in the NHL at these GM meetings. The first and foremost is that the salary cap is finally going up by $1 million. I think this is the first. I think in COVID it was stagnant for the first time in like 40 years. The cap had always been going up and up and up. A little bit. Hurt a lot of teams because a lot of teams signed big players with the expectation that the cap was going up.
As they should have.
Yeah, as they should have, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs did with their big time players. But a big reason why the salary cap is finally going up is obviously because the league is making revenue. One small reason that the league is starting to make revenue is that there are now jersey sponsorship patches on the top left of certain teams' jerseys. And this should not be a source of news, but it is, because there's a lot of old timers that have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a bad idea?
No. I want my team to be good. They become good when they have more money to spend. Put a patch on the jersey. They did it in basketball. Nobody made a big stink about it. Just a lot of, I would say, thank God Don Cherry's on TV anymore, because he would have blown up about this. I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, is it nice that hockey jerseys have been, not sponsored before? Sure. But is it really going to make a big difference? Not really. People are going to get over it. If you have an old jersey, keep it. Don't get a new one. Like, there are solutions to this.
Yeah, like the NHL is not going to move towards a marketing model like in the European leagues where the entire jersey is tatted with advertisements. Nobody wants to see that. That will not happen. But if it helps to raise revenues in material ways, why not do it? One of the biggest criticisms against the NHL is that over the last 30, 40 years, they have lagged considerably behind in marketing and growing the game, right? And the one source of respect I'll give to Gary Bettman is that he's kind of turned the corner and he's made the NHL a lot more marketable in his tenure.
Yeah, he has.
He's done a good job. He's had a bunch of good expansions, like notwithstanding the Arizona expansion, but the Vegas one is probably one of the best markets in the league. Yeah. The game is growing. A lot of more people are watching the NHL in the United States, and we're seeing that with the salary cap going up. The league has done such a bad job of marketing and growing the game. If this is a small way to do it, I don't even know why there are old timers on Twitter getting mad at it.
I don't know. They need something to be mad about. That's some writers. That's their shtick. They just like to find things to get upset about so they can generate clicks. I don't know. I think this will go away like it did in the NBA, like it did when there was helmet sponsorships. There was a big blow up about that too. Who cares? When you're watching the game on TV, you're not going to see this anyway.
You don't even notice. I think if you asked 100 Leaf fans who sponsors the helmet on the end, they wouldn't know. And like it's TikTok, right? It's TikTok, the only reason I know that is because TikTok's TikTok. But anyway, moving on, another big thing from the GM meetings is that they're talking about extending the salary cap into the playoffs, where teams can't Nikita Kucherov, as people colloquially call it now. What do you think about that?
Just hurt feelings. It's hurt feelings. It's franchises. It's GMs whose owners are too cheap to play the same game that these other teams are playing, that now are looking for excuses to try and basically have the teams who are spending money spend less because they're essentially jealous.
Yep.
The salary cap never extended into the playoffs. It never has. And even if it does, I'm just confused as to how it'll work, because if there's a salary cap, there still needs to be LTIR, so you can still stash players there. Are they going to change the rules where the team that you field needs to be under the cap? And if that's the case, that's a stupid decision for the game, because you're leaving talent off the ice, and you want the best players who get paid the most money to be playing and the most marketable and high entertainment time of the season. So I think it's just hurt feelings for GMs who are not creative enough and have cheap owners.
Yeah, what's pretty ironic is that every single owner at that time that the thought about having that LTIR rule was being put in place, all voted in favor of it, except for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning exposed the entire league, and now all these GMs are quote-unquote crybabies, and they want to turn it around. You talked a little bit about a rule where, you keep the LTIR rules the exact same way that they are, but come into playoffs, the team that you field needs to be under the cap. You said you didn't like that because you want the best players playing.
Yeah.
My question is, that argument is true, but kind of insinuates the fact that teams might be exposing the LTIR rule.
So it's there.
You think that that's a problem? You think that
I think
they should be able to exploit it?
I absolutely. If the rule is there and written in a way that there's loopholes in it, that's on the CBA writers. That's on Gary Bettman and the people who make the rules. The GMs don't make the rules. They have to operate under them. And so if you give them loopholes, they wouldn't be doing their job if they didn't find them. So I just think either you change the rules so people stop exploiting it, or you get rid of the cap altogether, which we've talked about a number of times, so we won't talk about that. But I think it's stupid. And another thing that I'll say is, funnily enough, I think it came out that Ken Holland, Edmonton's GM, was one of the sort of the GMs leading this charge.
Surprise, surprise.
Funnily enough, he won all of his cups when there wasn't a salary cap, and he had Luke Robitaille on his fourth line. Like, give me a break. Just get creative.
Yeah.
You have the best player in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I like the possibility of extending the salary cap into the playoffs with the fact that whoever that you have to field in the playoffs is under the salary cap. So what this means is that if a player goes on long-term injured reserve, players can still, teams can offload that cap to go get other players to replace them, which they should, because a team should not be penalized because one of their best players is out and now they missed the playoffs. But now when you come into the playoffs, it's no longer that there is no salary cap. It's that, okay, we're 17 million over the cap like Tampa was that year. Every single game, we need to fulfill a roster on the ice that meets within the salary cap. And I think that's good for two reasons. Number one, it doesn't stop teams from being destroyed if a big player gets hurt. But number two, they no longer are able to exploit this rule. And you mentioned that either one, you get rid of the cap, or number two, you fix the loophole. I think this is a way to fix the loophole. The only problem, like you said, is that now, you're going to have to scratch a fantastic player and the fans want to see the best players play.
Exactly. I wouldn't have wanted to watch Tampa as badly if Kucherov couldn't play because of the stipulation. And I think to have a loophole present in, not necessarily a loophole, but sort of a contingency point, I guess that's the right way to describe it, in the regular season, and then to remove that in the playoffs, I just think it creates so many problems. But I think from a strategical perspective, maybe it could be interesting to see. You have to fit a team that you field under the cap. I don't know. I'm just against it, but I think there's valid arguments on both sides.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.